Shout out to Soap Magic and Blair Blanks. Thanks so much for subscribing to my channel. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for regular uploads and your chance to be included in shoutouts for future videos. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'll be making some custom loaves made with beeswax and honey, and I actually have never made soap with beeswax before. I've most certainly used soaps, that other soapers have made with beeswax, and that's the beeswax there just melting. So that's going to take another 20 minutes to half an hour to melt, and I've got to wait for everything to cool down to 35 degrees Celsius because that's what I like to work with. And the recipe today is 30% coconut oil, 60% extra virgin Australian olive oil, 5% each of organic unrefined cocoa butter and shea butter. And of course in here I've put the honey straight in here as well, and the beeswax, as you can see, and also my ultra concentrated coconut milk is in there. And this is just the lime water just with 1% citric acid. I ended up doing 1% beeswax and 3% honey. I like to work with 3% honey. Beeswax, I know you can go up to 2%, but because I don't really have much experience with it, so I thought I'll try 1%. I just finished cutting a batch of it with pink clay. So exactly the same recipe, just with pink clay. And that's just, I've put that on the curing rack. Now I will show that at the end of the video, how that turned out. So yeah, that's the recipe today, and I only use 1% as well, and I want to try just the one batch first because it's the same customer wanting 2 custom loaves, and I was going to split off the batch and just make it all at once, but I wasn't sure how fast it was going to move with the beeswax. The water, usually I work with 25% oil to water, but I upped it to 28% because of the beeswax, and I think that was a good move because it seemed to be really nice. It was still moving on the quick side, but not drastically quick where I can't do a split color, which I'll be doing for this batch. The other one I just used pink clay. This one I'll be using French green clay and ivory clay as well, so it'll be equal split. And the essential oils are the same for both as well. It's 0.5% eucalyptus, 3% rosemary, and 1.5% cedarwood atlas, just to fix it down. And these, I got the honey and beeswax actually from these customers of mine. They're actually quite regular and they don't live too far from me. And they actually have beehives in their backyard, which is great. And I just can tell you, this honey is so fragrant. It's so sweet smelling, and even the beeswax has just got a really, really nice. You can just smell the subtleness of within the wax. It's just got a nice, you can just smell the honey, the sweetness in the beeswax as well. It's just absolutely beautiful. This is one of the best honeys and beeswax I've ever smelled. And in the soap I already just cut as well, it actually smells sweet, and oh my god, it actually is so nice with this essential oil, this blend. And I was a bit funny about eucalyptus and rosemary. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to turn out, but it turned out really nice. And the reason why, as I was smelling them and mixing them, I only went with 0.5% eucalyptus because rosemary actually smells a lot like eucalyptus. It has a lot of the same chemical compositions as eucalyptus does, so I don't want to do equal parts eucalyptus and rosemary because it was going to be extremely overpowering, and I don't want it to be too overpowering. I want it to be nice. And I think the way I did the essential oil blend worked out very well. So yeah, all in all, I'm actually really impressed with how the beeswax turned out and the honey, and I already tasted this honey. Of course, I put some on a spoon. It's so sweet. It tastes like, I don't know, it tastes like maple syrup. Like, that's how beautiful it is. Like, it's got a woody taste and smell too. mild. I can just smell the woodiness and the mapleness. Oh gosh, just so good. And I've because you know how there's offcuts usually with the soap. I'm actually going to try one of the offcuts. I'm very, very eager. It's just, yeah, wow, beautiful, very nice. And overall, just really happy with how it behaved. And also I'd like to actually say, sorry about using my metal spatula last video and it was making a lot of noise. Sometimes I just go into automatic mode and I don't think. So out of all my videos I did, I think that was the only time where I used a metal spatula in the pot and I was making a lot of ruckus. So lesson learned, I won't be doing that again. So apologies for that, because I know some people commented saying that that sound is very irritating on their ears. So lesson learned and duly noted. So yeah, they dropped it in this beautiful, nice little cute pack. Gosh, really, really cute, and very happy that they decided to message me saying that, you know, can I make custom loaves with their honey and beeswax. Actually, they originally said just honey, and I thought, oh well, since you've got hives, why don't you let me try some beeswax? So they dropped some off. Oh, beautiful! I'm really glad that they did drop some off, because it gave me a chance to play around with it and get comfortable with it as well. So yeah, just great. And with the honey, I always just put the honey with the oils, and everything's in here, all the oils and the butters, the honey, the beeswax. I just find it easier to kind of melt, you know, all together. And I just like mixing the honey and the oil. It just makes life a lot easier. And of course, I just did 1% sodium lactate. And the reason why I only did 1%, because usually I use salt as well, but I left out the salt because of the beeswax, because beeswax is very hard. So I didn't want the log to be crumbly when I cut it. I want it to be nice and smooth. So I left the salt out. I reduced the sodium lactate just to 1%, just to help the beeswax along, you know, unmolding nicely and firming up. And I think that was a good call using those percentages. Of course, I'm not adding sugar to the lye water as I usually do because of the honey, and of course the coconut milk powder as well. So we don't want to double up on sugar, because it most definitely will overheat and crack if I added sugar in the lye water. Right, so my mold is ready. So I'm just using these really nice molds I got from Soap Cutter AU on Etsy. So yeah, so just using that, and that's it really. Beautiful, really, really love making this, using the beeswax, really great. I can't wait to use it. So yeah, it's not scary using beeswax and honey. I know people are like, oh, you know, trace and overheating and cracking. Just wait for everything to come down to 35 degrees Celsius. And I didn't find any issues with it being at 35, given that beeswax has a melt point of, I believe it's like over 65 degrees, where it starts to melt. As you can see, the oils here are 60 degrees and it's starting to melt now, but it'll fully melt when when all this reaches 80 degrees Celsius. And when it completely melts, it's fine, everything's well incorporated. Turn the heat off and just let it come down in temperature, and I didn't notice any weirdness in it cooling down to 35 degrees, because of course the wax is going to disperse in the oils evenly, and it's only at 1%, so it's not going to be a huge deal. So even if you were doing at 2% beeswax, it's still fine. It's not enough beeswax to make a stringy hardness in the oil as it starts to cool. It should still remain fluid, and of course when you add the lye water to it at 35 degrees, temperature is going to start coming up as well. And obviously in the mold it's going to, you know, start heating up. And I did notice it went to about 50 degrees Celsius in the log, which is totally fine. That's totally fine. But just I like to keep it obviously just to remain cool. So I do recommend soaping as low as possible, but not too low, because I know if it was below 30 degrees Celsius, so I know that it would do false tracing and it would start to behave a little strangely because of the melt point of the beeswax. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. So I'm going to wait for this to finish melting. I already added the sodium lactate to this lime water. It's 46 degrees. I added it obviously at 50 degrees. So I'm going to continue to let them cool down, and then once everything's done, I'm going to come back and make some honey and beeswax soap scented with Eucalyptus Rosemary essential oil with a cedarwood fix. Yeah, so everything's at the appropriate temperature now, 35 degrees. I thought I'd just show you quick now. These are the bars I cut earlier today. I put a little bit of French pink clay because I want a little bit dark, because the Australian pink clay is a little bit light these last few batches for some reason. And of course the oil here is quite dark from, you know, the cocoa butter and the shea butter and, you know, the olive oil as well. So I wanted to get the pink as much as possible, so that's the batch I made earlier. So just thought I'll show you before I start making.